Well, a disappointing outing for the team that won the toss and decided to bat first in the grand final. Something they've done so well early on in the tournament, even when they've lost tosses and been asked to bat first. The efficient Rajasthan batting unit putting on just 130. Now, no matter what surface you're playing on, in what conditions, 130 would be considered below par. No batsman getting to 40. Joss Buttler, as long as he was around, looked good. Once he went, it just seemed a bit of a procession at the other end. Hardik Pandya, the captain, led the way with the ball. So much to talk about from Gujarat's point of view and a few disappointments from the men in pink. I'm joined on Cricbuzz Live by Ajay Jadeja and Michael Vaughan. Michael, at the very top, I'm sure you're itching to say, win toss, field first, made more sense, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I think so. But, I was surprised by Rajasthan. For one, they've made that decision, and then they didn't seem to play with any kind of bravery. I thought they were very timid. The bowling was very, very good. Hardik was excellent. For Hardik to pick up the 2 key wickets is a huge kind of bonus for him as a captain. But even Buttler, I thought Buttler, for Joss Buttler, was very, very timid. It was almost as if he was waiting for bad balls. He wasn't on the front foot trying to dislodge the bowlers off the length. We didn't see one ramp shot. We didn't see him kind of make space and try and whack it over mid-off. There was nothing really. It was almost as if they were playing safe to try and get to 150, 160. I don't know if the pitch that they have read is worse. We'll have to wait and see. But from what I saw from a Rajasthan's point of view, they seem to be a little bit afraid of being brave. And that can cost you in a final.
Ajay, you advocate batting first, especially in a final, and logically it makes a lot of sense. But as Michael said, if you're going to do that, you've got to come out with some sort of intent. Somebody's got to go out there and say, listen, this is how many we need to put on.
Yeah, certainly you need to have an intent. But, as we were talking in that, 10-over combox, I thought, at the start, they just went crazy. I mean, Jaiswal's, given them great starts. But today he was trying a bit too hard. And then we've heard from Samson that what he wants to do, get few quick runs. That's exactly what he did. And that probably, put pressure, or not pressure, or whatever the planning was, that Joss Buttler wasn't Joss Buttler that we're used to seeing him. He was timid, as Michael rightly said. And then once they lost those 2 wickets back-to-back, Buttler and Padikkal and Buttler, then they were on the back foot all the way, and then they didn't even, try and get whatever they can, and they kept going for it. So it just hasn't been their day. I mean, you need to bat first, but you still need to bat. When I think 15th over was when Ashwin got out. That's the last recognized man in that side. So you win the toss, you bat first 6 overs, you're 60 of 8 overs with only 2 down, and by 15th over, all your batsmen are in the heart. So, then at the end, what they got is just a bonus.
Yeah, Michael, even towards the end, if we think of a lot of teams in this tournament, or a lot of the makeup of general T20 teams, you'd have some kind of an impact player coming in at maybe a number 7. Now, while Riyan Parag has done it from time to time, today he didn't look like he could replicate what a Hardik Pandya might for India, or a Andre Russell, or so many of the others who bat around that position.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to the last game here, RCB's last 5 overs was very, very similar. Didn't get any runs, lost loads of wickets. Whether that's the nature of the pitch, whether it's the pressure of batting first, that they know that they are so far behind the game that they have to go for it even more so. I thought Hardik was excellent. I think the commentators summed it up. He was just so far ahead of the game. And when he bowls, he does think like a batter. He runs up, he knows what he's trying to achieve. He can see the subtle changes of a batter, whether he gives himself space, whether he moves himself to the offside. He just knows the hardest ball to hit, and he bowls it. And that's all he did. He hit that heavy length often. He changed his pace. He went tight to the left-handers, right into the pocket of the hip. There's no space for the bat to kind of be swung. So he was very, very clever as a captain, as a bowler. But I do think he was helped. I just think the tone is so important. I thought Shami set the tone in that first over. He bowled a beautiful first over. There's the tone set. And then what Rajasthan should have done, they should have counter-punched. They should have come even harder to try and get that momentum back their way. And it was almost as if they were waiting for bad balls rather than make the bowlers bowl the bad balls by playing a few risky shots. The first 6 overs for me in T20 cricket, whatever the pitch, I think it's a licence. It's a licence for those first 2 to go out there. They've got to be aggressive and they have to strike. If you lose 2 wickets, then you can go back into your box and start to play. But, I just thought they were too timid. I didn't think... I always believe in the finals, you've got to be so brave and you've got to go ultra aggressive. And I just didn't think they did that.
And it was about taking the initiative, and who better, Ajay, than the captain to take the initiative himself. We did allude to it on Cricbuzz Combox. We alluded to it at the start of the show, what he's done throughout the season. He's led well, he's batted, and of course he's bowled with intent, opening the bowling at times, bowling over 140. And today he bowled just the right way for the surface, for the situation.
I think you summed it up beautifully. I mean, he's bowled at different times, and that has not allowed the opposition actually to, plan anything against the Gujarat Titans, because how do you plan it? I mean, today he bowled fabulously in the lengths that he bowled. But when he came on to bowl, that was an interesting stage, because he bowled 2 from Rashid Khan. The opposition's probably thinking, oh, here comes Sai Kishore, the left-arm spinner. We're going to get after him. And suddenly, you see... Hardik come on to bowl. So he's kept surprising the opposition, and especially teams, if you were planning, if you were timid at the start, as he said, and you as a batsman also, you're looking at the game and saying, look, which is the bowler that I'm going to look at or target, or when we're going to accelerate. So every time that Rajasthan even thought of accelerating, he brought on, when he brought on himself, he had a fabulous day to day, and then Rashid Khan would come back on. So he just didn't let the opposition, get on with that game. And any plans that Rajasthan had, he turned them around. He brought in Sai Kishore when, Ravichandran Ashwin was there to bat with Parag. So, normally you would think you got, Lockie Ferguson, you got Shami left, everybody's got overs left. Why is he bringing the spinner on? Ravichandran Ashwin would, enjoy the pace coming on. And as soon as he got out, so he's worked the team around very smartly, and today he was exceptional with the ball as well.
Yeah, not often, Michael, would you see a bowling card where the captain has taken over or taken out an overreach from Yash Dayal, who's been one of the standout bowlers, and Lockie Ferguson, who's just produced the fastest delivery of the tournament. But under the circumstances, at that time, he thought 2 overs from Sai Kishore, maybe pick up a wicket. He picked up 2.
Yeah, sometimes as a captain, you can't do no wrong. It's nice to have the tools. It's nice to have the different variations, the left arm spin, the pace. You've got yourself that you can kind of maneuver into the attack at times. Then you've got Rashid Khan, who's like his trump card. He just kept on throwing him and over to try and get that wicket. You could see what Rajasthan were trying to do to Rashid Khan. They weren't going to risk anything. So they were just trying to knock him with the right-handers into that onside and nip him for 1s and 2s. So, as a captain, when you've got all those tools, it's great, but you've got to be able to use them properly, and you've got to be able to use them at the right time. And Hardik today just got it spot on. I do think he was helped, and whether it was because the attack is so good that it puts the opposing batting under so much pressure, they weren't allowed to come out and be expansive. But I think Rajasthan will be in that dressing room, and it'll be that what if syndrome. It'll be in their mind, what if we'd have been a bit more aggressive? What if we'd have just been a bit riskier at the start? Could we have got 30, 40 more runs on that surface? I reckon they could have done it if they'd have been a bit braver.
Well, throughout the tournament from game 1, we've been looking at different 11s and saying, okay, in case one of the bowlers goes, who will be a 6th bowler? Now, at the end, in the final, Ajay, I'll come to you with just a pointed question. Is Hardik Pandya the best 6th bowler in this entire competition?
Maybe Rahul Tewatia would complain and say, look, if I had bowled 4 overs, maybe I would be the best 6. But you're right. I mean, there are many options, and Hardik's probably the best 6th if you had to look at it. Most teams don't even play 4 bowlers. I mean, this year luckily we've had teams playing at least 4.5 bowlers. Otherwise, the last couple of seasons we'd gone down to 2.5, 3 bowlers aside, and the other bowlers were only over finishing. Or somebody would bowl at this stage and somebody would bowl at that stage. But this team, Hardik Pandya, doesn't even make it to the top 5.
And I guess that's where you talk about the balance. Here he is a top order batsman, giving you 4 bowlers when required. Middle of the competition, picked up a bit of a niggle, didn't bowl for a while, came back absolutely at the right time. Good news for Gujarat to be favourites to win this title. Good news for Team India.
Yeah, I mean, India's one-day team for a long time now has been crying out for a bowler in that top 4 or 5. It's been a team really that's got batters and bowlers. That's pretty much it. So Hardik has stuck his hand up, and I agree with Simon Dool on commentary where he said that, if India needed a one-day captain in the future, if Rohit's not available, he wanted a breather. KL Rahul, obviously he's outstanding as well, but in Hardik Pandya, I wouldn't be scared of giving him any kind of leadership. I think he's got it. I mean, Ajay was right at the start. They call it the naughty boy character, whatever it may be, but sometimes when you're the captain, it helps that you've been the naughty boy because you can see the naughtiness in other people. I think it helps.
I like that. I like the analogy and the reference to it. But yes, Hardik Pandya has been absolutely outstanding. But in the opposition, the one man who's been absolutely outstanding is Jos Buttler. But, and I say this with a double T, Ajay, has the reliance on Jos Buttler for the men in pink kind of been exposed today in a crunch game?
I mean, you can't blame the side. I mean, Jos Buttler is such a special player. No matter which side he's playing for, you would rely on him. And, the man has had a fabulous season. He's got 800 plus runs. So, in 14 games, every second game, it's been him batting, 12 to 16 overs every game. So he's used up most of the ball. So, reliance would be on him. I think where I saw it go wrong for them is that the other guys were probably trying to do things that they can't do. And you made Buttler become more defensive because you probably relied so much on him. So in that case where you put that question, were they more reliant on Buttler? Yes, they were, because, the others were trying to do things that they beyond their reach. And you expected Buttler to go under par or, be safer and be there for longer. So maybe, yes.
Yeah, I guess to sum it up, Michael, I wasn't really trying to apportion blame, but rather saying that, in an ideal world, you would have wanted the pie to have been more spread around, sort of like Bangalore and Virat Kohli. I mean, they didn't end up going as far as they would have liked, but the fact that they were winning games early on with Virat Kohli virtually non-existent meant that other people were able to stand up more and more. And Buttler early on in the season, 300s in 4 matches, suddenly you're like, okay. And just like you said, Sanju will be crying out to him, one more, Jos, one more. Didn't happen.
No, I mean, he's a human being as well, and those around him probably were trying the best to try and be that firecracker that allows Jos just to play. But, every time they seem to go for that real risky shot, they lost a wicket. And then Jos had to try, and he probably read the situation, thought, I've just got to be around for that last 4 overs. They lose wickets, and then he thinks, well, if I just bat a bit, and then he got a bit timid, and that shot that he got out, you could see his response when he was walking off. He'd have been annoyed with himself because he'd rather get out trying to launch one rather than just trying to feather one down to third man. So, I just didn't think they were mentally, I'll keep saying the word brave. In finals, I always believe the bravest team wins. And bravery means not always being, gun wallowing, you're going all out attack. It's just being brave at the right time. And at the start of the game, when you're setting the tone, in T20 cricket, I always watch the first few overs, particularly teams that bat first. Are they brave? Rajasthan, when they came out and batted 2 nights ago, chasing that lowest total, they went for it from ball 1. They went for it. They knew they had to win the power play. They won the power play and they strolled the match. I'd have gone for that approach again today. Even though batting first, I said, go and win the power play. Go and be aggressive. Go and get us to 55, 60 in the power play, and we're ahead of the game. But if it doesn't come off, at least we've had to go try. And by playing timidly, I just feel they were just a little bit negative today.
Well, Ajay, to pick up from where Michael just left off and to finish off on the show today, do Gujarat need to be brave? I mean, Michael said low-ish total the other day, which is what it was, and Rajasthan went hard after it. Today, it's lower than lowish. So how do they approach this, particularly with regard to the power play?
No, I think if you be brave enough to be around there in 16th, 17th over, if you're, any of the 2 opening batsmen, I mean, like he said, brave enough doesn't mean just go out there and start whacking everything. You got to be brave enough to take the situation and take the pressure. You got a total that you're chasing is 130. The brave guy today is not the guy who's going to throw his bat around. The brave guy is the guy who's going to be there, over number 15, 16 and finish the game at that stage.
Well, it's been an early chance. Shubman Gill has been put down by a fairly routine-ish chance. I know we use the word lowish, but it was a routine-ish chance. Call it routine by Yuzvendra Chahal. That could have been the spark that Rajasthan needed to get into this game. Bolt early on. Michael, who's the key for you if Rajasthan were to pull off a miracle? Is it one of the early Bolt type, Prasidh type situations or a bit of spin?
Oh, I think everyone. I don't think you can defend a total like this and just depend on one or two. I think all the bowlers are going to have to arrive. The catchers are going to have to stick. They've already dropped one. The spin twins, they're going to have to day out. They're going to have to get that stat. Was it over 3 wickets? They win the game. They're going to have to get more.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have to get more than 3. If I'm Gujarat, I go for it in the 6. I try and win the game inside the 6. Try and get the 55-60, knock the top off the chase, and then just stroll the game from there. So if I was Gujarat, I'd be saying, let's be brave, let's win this power play, and then just play smart cricket to get over the line. But they'll have to take every chance. When you've got a score that's well below par, everything has to stick, and you'll probably need a little bit of fortune, and you'll need the opposition to flap. That's what they require.
Right. Michael, you said if you're Gujarat for now, put yourself in the Gujarat camp. Give us a score in the power play. Prediction.
51.
51. Ajay Jadeja, over to you.
Ooh, 41's enough for me.
51, 41.
If they get to 41, they win easy.
Oh, just 41. But no, I somehow think they're going to get more than that. They're going to go for somebody in that. So maybe 46. Maybe 46. I won't go higher than Michael's, but 46. I'll just squeeze in somewhere in between. All we know is it's advantage Gujarat. Come what may. Catch has gone down already in the first over, and it's going to be a good reflection on where this match stands, where the title stands, which team has a hand on the trophy by the 10th over. We'll probably conclude that on Cricbuzz Combox, and of course wrap it all up, the entire season and today's match in the end. For now, that's all on Cricbuzz Live.